Hello, everybody. This is back again with Dance About Music, year 4. Um, I want to tell you, this one is going to be a little bit more structured. They don't have to be, some of them are structured, some of them are not structured, the lessons. Usually, if it's like really, really deep, I don't really structure it because those who understand and those who have followed along, they can pretty much use their own personality to grasp things, and it's kind of like, in some ways it's better sometimes like that. This one is a little bit more structured because it's not as, in order to get to the points, it's very complicated, but it's very basic because we already covered a lot of the material, so it's easier for me to make this one a little bit more structured. But if you know the material and everything, it's anyway, it's entertaining. So entertaining if you understand exactly what's going on. At first, like I said, not too many people will catch on, but as time goes on, the more time goes on, the more entertaining it is for everybody, and the more complex it is to reach certain things. Like I said in a lot of the videos. So this is 4 years. I put 4 years so everybody knows whatever you do, something that's going on. It's like being in college and stepping into a class, a senior class, okay? A senior class, I don't know, we used to have like hundreds. A 500, 600 class was very, very difficult. That was like senior material. So someone, just say a freshman walking in on making a mistake, or not making a mistake, let's just say walking in on a 600 class when they're doing 1000, when they were doing like 1000s or something like that, 100s to 500s or something like that, however they do it. um, so it's like that, okay? So that's just to show you that it might be entertaining, but they know that they have to reach, you know, they have to go through the time in order to really get a grasp of what's going on. So let me clear that point up. I guess they used to be like 1000s, I think, in some of the colleges. I went to 8 different colleges. So, and then they have, I guess it would seem like it was like hundreds or 1,000 or something like that. But then the classes, like the higher up, will be like 500, or I'm almost sure it'd be something like 500. Just say 100 classes, just as an example. Um, and then walking in on a 500 level class. Okay, so I just tried to give you an example. I don't really remember how it used to go. It's been a while since I've been in since I graduated, actually. But anyway, now we're getting into it. What we're going to do, since I told you structures, um, we're going to, the function is going to switch spaces, okay? Okay? What I'm saying is going to switch from 2 squared to 4 squared. And remember, I use a lot of mathematical terms just so that you can understand. But pretty soon, um, another it's going to form into, I don't, to where I don't have to use numbers. I'm almost positive. I can see how it will form once everybody knows that the numbers are used just to communicate something that the function does. So when I when the numbers go away, you'll see you'll see that they have nothing to do with, they're good for communication only, okay, for now. So I'm saying if I'm saying we're gonna the function is gonna switch from 2 squared to 3 squared, okay? Or I can, when I say 2 squared or 3 squared, usually I mean something that's not formed yet. If I use radical, if I use radical, like that radical sign, and radical sign and 4, that means it's already completed, most likely. And so it's a big, so that you can also see that I distinguish the difference between both of those. signs. Both of those, I guess you can say terms or whatever. And then, like, if I say 3 squared, that means it's not formed. But when I put 3 squared in the function is going to come up with the radical 4. Okay? So, you see? So the radical 4 is like showing you that it's, it's like a square. Also, where square is a communication also, because it just distinguishes a certain amount of space. Okay? So that's the only reason why I want to tell you that, because it's not, I know in mathematics sometimes you try and memorize things, but memorizing doesn't, it's not something to memorize, because it's just for communication purposes, and that's it. Because once we get into it, and once we know exactly, and we see the spaces and stuff, like you see how it will formulate. So we're going to switch from 2 squared to 3 squared, and then we're going to have the function create time. Okay, create time. Okay, so these are all references, like I tell you. So let me get started with this. So this one might be pretty short. So here we go on the switching. Okay, the function. So I already told you a lot of things. Like I said, this one is a little bit more structured, because everything is already, we already did the previous ones, which is like, this is a product of the last videos that I have already done. And I already told you what we were going to do. So we're going to do it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because I use this for the short, I'm going to do the 2 squared. When I complete the 2 squared, I'm going to switch to a 3 squared. Okay, so that means after I do a 2 squared, I'm going to switch to a 3 squared, and then it's going to be like the next, it's going to be in session. Okay, so like right now I'm at a mark where the 2 squared could be, but when I get into, okay, there's another thing I have to tell you. There's another thing I have to tell you. The function also moves space, okay? So should I do that now, or? Okay, yeah. I'm gonna do this now, and then I explain you about moving space. How the function moves space. So I'm doing it too. Let's do that better. Okay, and so that's good. So now you see that we can switch. We just switch. But there's one thing I had to show you in it. I did it first, but there's another thing that the function does. Okay, like when I finished the 2 squared, when I finished the radical 4, when I made the next step, it created the, it was ready, prepared to go into the radical, to the 3 squared. So what I'm saying is, like, it was more like music, because it happened so fast. So that means that, which I didn't realize, that means that the function holds the formula or whatever for, I can say formula because I'm saying this is just for communication. It held the formula of what I wanted to do, because I told you I was going to do the 2 squared, and I was going into the 4. I was going to do the 2 squared, and then I was going right into the 3 squared. But it goes along with everything I said, because okay, that's what happened. It had already set up. So that means that if you look at it, the whole thing, there was like a 2 squared, and then on top of it, there was a 3 squared. So that's how it happened. I thought the other way. I thought that it made up one before I started, which can happen also. But in that case, what it did was formulate the two, like a formula for both of them, and it allowed me to create the space. So I created the 2 squared and the 3 squared at the same time, and then I performed both of them. Okay, so that gets into the moving of space. Okay, the moving of space creates a time. Okay, and what happens is that you can make points. Let's say 2 squared, and you have the points 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, I could do 1, 2, and I can move the space without me moving. Okay, so the 1, 2. Okay, like for instance, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm here 1, 2, and I'm slide this down. That means the 1, 2, the space is here, and the space is here. It slid the space down, and I can stay here, and and make them the points, the 3 and 4. So I'm using numbers there, and the numbers there is location. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 location. I'm in 1, 2. I stay there, but the function brings the space down, brings the spaces down, okay, brings the radical 4 down, and then I do 3, 4. So that's what I would call time. But like I said, a lot of this, what I'm doing is a setup for when I get back into precision. So, but for now, we'll call that time, because you're in one place and it moves, and the space moves, and then you go into 3 and 4. So how can I do? What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how the function moves. When I say it moves locations, which creates time. Okay, so let's see. So let me show you real quick before I start. Like for instance, I'm here. This is radical 4, and I'm 1, 2. It moved, and then I can go to 3, 4. It's the same as going 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's created the space. But instead of me moving 3 and 4, the how can I say? The space moves. The function moves its space that it created, and it's a physical space for the function. So I'm going to do the same thing I did in the previous. I'm just going to call it dance. In the previous dance, because it's dance about music. In the previous dance, and I'm going to do it in time. I will call this time. So I'm going to do the same thing, but it's going to appear that it's in the same place, but it's in a different time. Okay? So hold that. It's a concept. So So it's the same thing. But it can't be done unless you see the space moving. Like I'm telling you, like for instance, like when I did, I can see the space in the function, and it goes moved. Now it's set up for radical. It's set up for radical 9. It moves the space. It moved. And it moved again to 7, 8, and 9. But you have to see, the function has to show you the actual space that it created, the actual physical space that it created, because the function is an actual physical space. We're in another physical space, like right now when we touch things, but this is something that the mind can do. Okay, so now I'm going to do, so I did that. So now for the short, I'm just gonna revamp on everything that happened, and I'm going to use the sounds, and I don't have to explain anything because I just explained anything. So this is pretty much for the short. If I want to do the short, I don't know. Okay, so I like it to do it a little bit better. That's it. Thank you.